So I think I finally went over the edge, and with the CR-10 and decided I needed to go ahead and pull the plug and go into the BondTech BMG and convert it to direct drive extruder. Um, Stick around, see how that went, and I'm Ron, and this is my place. Thanks for sticking around. So we're going to do the BondTech BMG direct drive upgrade to the CR-10. Um, Hopefully it's not too loud. It's in printing. I'm kind of doing the intro after everything. But anyway, uh, we're gonna talk about what I needed to do, what I had to actually manipulate and change, and everything through the video. Most of it's going to be time lapse. So if you have any questions of things that I missed, let me know. I've already covered the BondTech itself quite a bit. I'll put links into the files of the brackets and stuff that I printed out. And for the most part, it's just yanking the old stuff off, put it in the brackets. I had to buy a Pancake Nema 17. Figured out the wiring on it, which had the coils reversed on between the two different ones, so that was easy with the multimeter. Extended out the wire for the encoder, or excuse me, for the stepper motor, and hooked everything up. You had to do a change of the firmware because I use the EZABL, and you have to tell it where the sensor is actually at, so it knows where the center is, etc., in relation to the nozzle. And reset your heights and Z height and go crazy. Seems to be working really, really good. So far, I'm loving it. As long as everything holds up, um, it's going to be good. So this is the way I did it, and I will try and time lapse through everything and make comments as needed. At this point, all I'm doing is removing all the old stuff. I had taken some of it apart earlier on, and I put a little bit of it back so I could get the video of it. But for the most part, you're just ripping everything apart. Starting here is where I'm actually putting on the beginnings of the new setup. This is the bracket that'll hold all the stepper and nozzle and fans and sensors and all that. Here I'm actually test fitting the old extruder motor before I actually had decided to get the Pancake, and I was testing for fit, and then going through the BondTech I tore it apart just to make sure I cleaned it all up since it was already in pieces, and I had to put the new nozzle in anyways. And here what you're actually seeing is I'm beginning to set up uh, the Capricorn tube that I used as the insert, and it needed to have a 5 millimeter um, out piece that would go up into the BondTech, and I was trying to get the measurement as precise as I could. This is the new Pancake, actually mating up to the BondTech BMG, and I'm putting everything into place, trying to get it all lined up so it'll work. Okay, so getting ready to test this out. We actually have the um, system all set up. Everything's rough wired in. Got to put an extension on the extruder motor yet, but I'm running it short term, kind of where it's at, just to see how everything's functioning. Okay, so we made some progress. I've actually flowed filament now. Everything's moving the right direction. It's extruding. The one interesting part that I had that was a bit of a struggle was um, this regular motor to this one. The windings are set up different. The windings on this one were basically cross in comparison to the Pancake motor that came in it, so the wires had to be swapped around. Basically, if you look at the picture, you'll see blue and red next to each other, and then green and black. Going to the new motor, I had to actually swap the red and the green because that was how the coils were aligned. Blue and green, and then red and black. Okay, I fast forwarded a little bit. I wanted to kind of catch you up to speed a little bit. What I've got now is the Pancake motor is installed. Of course, the BondTech direct drive is all set up. My EZABL sensor set up and adjusted. The fan is set up and adjusted. One thing I wanted to point out is the nozzle or the block on the E3V6 is not the same dimensions on both sides. So there's basically a long side and a short side. And the way mine was set up, I actually had the heaters and thermistors coming in from the opposite sides. So therefore the long portion was ended up sticking towards the fan, and it was causing it to be very, very tight. Let me get that moved up. Okay, that's a little bit taller, but anyways, as you can see, trying to see if you can see, down here is where the block is, and you're actually got a longer distance on this side of the center line than you do on this side now, because I had to rotate the heat block around and then put the thermistor and the heater block from this side. And then of course I used the standard E3V6 cooling fan and just ran the wires up and around. Now the Pancake stepper was obviously needing to be extended out, and all I did was take the wires that came with it and then repinned the connector for going into the motor. Now, one thing that's of interest is the standard motor that comes with the Creality. It's a 6-pin, just like this new Pancake was a 6-pin, but the way the coils on the inside are laid out is different, because the Creality actually has the outer one and the 4th pin over is one coil. So these two, and then this one and the outer coil on this side is one coil. So when you just tried to plug it directly in, all you got was a stuttering because the coils were not set up right. So once I owned them all out and figured out which pins were which, a buddy of mine from work actually gave me the reminder, and then I was able to swap some pins around and get everything working, which it seems to work, and I've gotten some filament flowing out of it. So anywho, that's kind of where we're at. I've got things dressed up a little bit. I didn't like how droopy everything was, so I used a piece of old PTFE tubing and have used that as kind of strain relief to allow it to kind of control itself. We'll have to keep an eye. And I also, as you'll notice, I don't know if you can see, I actually mounted with a couple hammer blocks up here, I mounted the spool holder. Doesn't appear, I don't think it'll be a problem. If I get any kind of wobble from mounting on top like that, I may mess with it, but for now, I think it'll be okay, and it should be just fine. So, what do I have left? I have taken the whole hot end down to the bed, and I actually leveled to make sure that both my ABL sensor and the cooling fan were not going to hit, and that obviously the lowest thing is the nozzle. So I've already got that set. I reset the sensors so it's knitting in about the right spot. The only thing I have not done is I've got to flash the firmware that changes the positioning of the ABL sensor in relation to the hot end, and heat things up and do another test, and then try and set my first layer. So I'm going to go ahead and get the firmware flashed, and I don't think I need to show that. So I'll go ahead and get that flashed. Maybe I'll capture it real quick. But anyways, we'll get that taken care of, and then we'll get that first layer set. And I think then at that point we'll be done. Okay, so we should have everything flashed, so we're going to try and actually home everything. Okay, so in the first test, I had not set my extruder steps, and because of this is a 3-to-1 geared extruder, you have to reset that. It kind of defaults. Marlin defaults at 95. So I went to a console. I'm using Repetier server currently, and set an M92E. I tried 350, and now I'm at 375. You can see that I have my filament marked at 100 millimeters up, and we'll give it a shot. Do a couple 50s extrudes and see how close I am. You can already tell it seems to be way smoother and more forceful for feeding. I may actually increase my extruder value, meaning speed that it can extrude. So it's doing the second 50. This is where it's at. We're trying to get it to where it's about right there. I've got my slicer set at 1, I believe. So it's still a bit short. I think I want to. I think I'm going to do one more. At 375, I'm going to go to 4 and just see what's it like. This is just my cheat stick. I usually will fine tune it with the extruder test that I've done a video on before. Let me change this real quick. Once you do the E92 command, make sure you do it M500 to actually save everything so you don't lose what you set. This should be somewhere in the ballpark. I may have actually a loose connection in the extruder as well, the extruder connector there. I may have to redo that. See, it's right here right now coming down. I want it to be to the top of that connector. And it is literally right at the top, so we're good. Yay. So we're going to go back to what I said we were going to do before, and I'm going to try and reprint. So we're doing the first layer test now. I forgot to hit record at first. And I'm just playing with baby steps. Got a pretty good first layer. I think we'll go with that. I'm going to cancel out and then try and do a test print. So we got the CR-10 upgraded. It's now running the BondTech Extruder direct drive. I've done a handful of prints, nothing major, just trying to prove how everything's going. Just to recap, we had to change out the stepper to a Pancake for space purposes and weight. Printed a bracket. It was a multi-piece bracket to allow everything to mount correctly. Jumper out or extend out the wires to the stepper motor to give you more room for setting everything up. And then once everything was in place, you had to flash your firmware to actually change the actual positioning of my ABL sensor. If you don't have ABL, then that piece of it you don't have to do, obviously. Yeah, it was that was pretty much the biggest change out piece. And then I did some testing. I did find that the coils were backwards the way they were wired on the two different steppers. That's going to be very dependent on what stepper you get. And you just use a multimeter to ohm out the coils to determine where you're going to need to put the wires. Yeah, that was pretty much it. After that, I had to reset my my height for everything to make sure that the ABL sensor was and the fan nozzle was above the nozzle so we didn't catch anything, and set my Z height, ran through everything. I mean, it was not too bad. Of course, a big piece of this is recalibrating your E-steps, because the BondTech has a 3-to-1. So for instance, default Marlin has 95 steps for the extruder motor for every millimeter that you extrude. And with the BondTech, I'm at 400. So when I ask for 100 millimeters, I get exactly 100 millimeters, which we showed as well. So you got to always do that. And then at the end of that, after I do that piece, I like to do that extruder test, which is 10 millimeters both here and here. And then when you print two of them side by side, you adjust your extrusion multiplier until you have a good fit. This one was almost perfect at 1, but I went down just a skosh. I went to 95%, and I think it's been printing pretty good. Now keep in mind that going from Bowden to a direct drive, you are going to have some, you're going to have to adjust things like retraction and stuff like that. The retraction I was running, because I was using an E3 V6, you had to run less retraction, and I was running at just over 3 millimeters. So immediately I dropped it to 1 because I didn't really know where I'm going to end up at. So I ran 1, and that's what I did a benchy on. And the benchy turned out pretty well, as you can see. I did not clean anything up on it. Just a little bit of wispy, stringy stuff. All the curves and overhangs, the chimney, all that looked absolutely gorgeous. I saw a little bit of maybe some kind of Z-banding thing going on if you look real close. I'll have to look into that to understand. I could have something with my lead screw starting up or whatever. There's a couple stripes in here. Could even be a bad G-code. I had a little bit of a booger here on the bottom when it started. For some reason it had a little layer adhesion issue, but we'll work through all that. But for the most part, flawless, beautiful print. I'm working on another print for another show and tell, if you will. And this printed out really nicely as well. This is printed in Hatchbox black PLA. Turned out really nice, good first layer. So there we go, test prints. I'm pretty pleased with that way it's turned out. It's calibrated, it's set up. I think we're good. We're going to be running through its paces for a while and see how it handles. I've got the spool sitting on top of the printer right now. Not 100% sure I'm going to leave it there or not, but it seems to be working, so we'll just kind of see how it goes. Yeah, it's pretty much all I've got. This is kind of a longer one. I'll do my best to edit it down as we're going through post-production here, and should be good to go. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you get something out of it. I know this one was a bit long coming, but I've been struggling quite a bit with the CR-10 in different aspects, so I'm glad we're finally here, and see what comes down the road after I get happy with this one, and then I'll start comparing maybe to the Flexion that I've got sitting up there gathering dust. Again, like it if you like it, dislike if that's your feeling. If that's the case, please leave your comment down below, and thank you very much. Have a great day and print everything you can.